Hi. Okay, so they're giving me kind of trouble about the camera orientation and such. But anyway, I thought I'd let you see me from a different angle. A little bit different angle tonight. It is currently raining here in Ohio. And so you may hear it. We had some rather loud echoing, building shaking thunderclaps. Always exciting. And the windows sounded like they were going to rattle right out of the windowsills. How exciting! So, it's been kind of fun. Anyway, this is The Ocean's Deep Woo, where we do the deepest woo and where we talk about deep things sometimes. Although sometimes we just have fun to raise the frequency because everything is frequency. And I mean, that's just a fact. Everything is about frequency. Everything is on a frequency band of some kind. So, if you can raise the frequency to a better one or a higher one, you can have different experiences of the same events. That's just the way it is. One person can be freaking out and the other person can be happy as a clam. And it's weird because I was just telling one of my acquaintances, she's always, this is hell, we're in hell, this is hell. For some people it is hell. She says, yeah, there isn't hell after you die. Hell is here right now, right? And she wants to die. I told her to be careful. She might get her wish. And it's kind of sad. But I remember being like that. I remember when I thought that this place was some kind of punishment. That I was living out some kind of punishment. It must be. Well, she's still in that. I'm out of it, fortunately. I told her this is not hell for me. And it's like that. If you ever noticed, some people sitting right next to each other, standing right next to each other, perceive the same scene very, very differently. If your frequency is different, you are going to see things differently. Oh, hi. How you doing? Silly. Whoa. I adjust my glasses. Silly Nilly. Are you Vanilli? Hello there. How you doing? I say, would you like some Grey Poupon? Now that's a commercial from my childhood. Was BBQ, BBG, BB, what? What's BBG? Jatu? Oh, baby girl. Seriously? Okay. If you say so. I'm just talking about how people perceive things differently and how it really influences your life. Like one of my friends, she's in hell. I'm not. She thinks this is hell. I do not think so. I do not see it that way. I'm out of that phase where I thought I was in hell. So it's different for different people. People's perceptions are different depending on their frequency. So right now we're going through an astrological time period called Lionsgate, and that's what I'm talking about right now. And because we do astrology and stuff like that, if that's not your speed, that's okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, if this is not your speed, you can go on. I just talk about what I'm going to talk about, and it's just the way it is. So, what we're seeing is this is Leo time, I guess, and Lionsgate is a particular planetary alignment, and I think it's at its height on the 18th, actually, but supposedly it's already open. So, interesting things happen around this time. Actually, as we're going into August. And next time I come on, I'll probably talk about things I'm seeing for August. Things that I'm seeing going on in August a little bit more. Because I've already done a show kind of like that. What I'm seeing for August. But there may be more. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like some psychics. I get messages differently than some people do. I channel differently than some people do. I'm not sure what I'm doing before I just start to spontaneously do it. They keep me guessing. That's the way my guidance is. They like to keep me guessing a lot of times. But they always come through for me. It's wonderful. I guess it keeps me from being bored, you know, because you can get bored. But tonight being a Monday, a moon day, and we're coming fresh off of a new moon, it is a good time to do what they call a prosperity ritual of some sort. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. I mean, we've got, I can think of at least 3 or 4 just right off the top of my head. One of them is the prosperity check, which in my old group used to be one of the ubiquitous things we'd do every single new moon. We would do the prosperity check. Another one would be the candle lighting, which would be a green or perhaps a gold candle with intention. And of course, intention is a really big part of anything that you do magically. If you have good intentions, if you have not so good intentions. One thing I want to say is be careful what you know what you're asking for, okay? Because sometimes people don't know what they're asking for and they get really weird results. And they're wondering why. Well, they didn't know what they were asking for, really. They weren't, or maybe there's some kind of attitude in their mind that they weren't aware that they had. You know, it's like we have things in our heads that got put there a long time ago, sometimes by somebody, sometimes by events. It has a tendency to color the way we think. And as I am fond of saying, everybody is looking at the world through their own filters. And now you know what a filter is. Come on. You put one filter on and you can look like you're much older. You put another filter on and you're younger. Put another filter on and you're much prettier. Or maybe you want to look like a Bigfoot. It's all up to you, right? So, and the way you look at the world is through your own filters. If you look at the world in such a way that it looks like hell to you, that you expecting hell, you're going to find hell. You know what you find? You find what you're looking for. Okay, so this is why when we find something, we always find it in the last place we're looking. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's because we stopped looking after that. Okay, maybe not quite like that. But if we are looking for problems, we'll find them. 100% guaranteed. But if we're looking for benefits, we'll find those too. If we're looking for pluses, we'll find pluses. It's just, and it's not just attitude. This alters your vibration. It alters your frequency. And frequency can be proven. I mean, everything has a frequency, and that frequency can be measured and read. And even by the scientific instruments we have now, we can find out the frequency of something. We can find out the structure, the way it vibrates. So now they haven't quite gotten on to, or at least they haven't told us, they haven't quite gotten on to changing an apple into a pear by changing the way it vibrates, but maybe they have and they haven't told us. Because they don't tell us anything until way later. They've already had it. This is what I hear all the time. They've already had it for 50 years by the time they tell us that they have it, okay? If they have something, they're saying, oh, it's the newest thing. They had it 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. So, I don't know, maybe they have something like that. But one of the people who did a lot of work in that regard, was named Royal Rife, okay? And Royal Rife did a boatload of research on how things vibrated, on what their frequency was, what was their resonance, what was their dissonance. And as I have another video that explains this, resonance is the frequency a thing is, the way a thing vibrates. Dissonance is the opposite of that. If you play a resonance, you strengthen the wave. Say you wanted to strengthen somebody, you would play, or something, you would play the resonance. You would play a wave that matches that wave, and that wave will be strengthened. You play the dissonance. This is how you can break things. This is how you can flatten that wave. If you flatten the wave of something, it disappears. It is destroyed. Now, Royal Rife found out that you could destroy things like cancer. He was working on destroying diseases. He was also working on strengthening people, strengthening plants. He was working on all kinds of things until his place got raided back in the 40s. And all of his notes and equipment got taken, except for one Rife machine. One Rife machine was all that was left of all of his work. So, several years ago I learned of this and I thought, and this was like a long time, this was like back in the 90s, so it's been decades now. I learned of this and I'm like, we need this information. Somebody's gatekeeping it. Literally. Nobody knew about this except the very esoteric community. So I decided that one of my intentions was going to be, and one of the things I was going to do, is introduce people to that theory and actually the work and some of the proof, if I could, of Royal Rife, and get that back on again. Get that kind of research happening again. Because we need that. Because we have been stuck in the medical field for so many years doing cut, slash, burn, kill, destroy, whatever the disease is. We need to go beyond that and end invasive procedures, painful procedures, procedures that almost kill the patient sometimes. That kind of thing. We don't need that anymore. We need to go beyond that. How are we going to go beyond that? I remember somebody going, well, how else would you do it? I said, look, right now, what are we doing? We're cutting, we're burning, we're poisoning. She says, well, how else would you do it? And I said, that's just the thing. There should be something better by now. They're still sewing people together like clothing or tents. What the heck? They're still cutting them open and sewing them back together. That's very primitive, really. If you think about it, it's been the same way for, at least a couple of 100 years or more, right? So we've made some advances, but a lot of these are not widespread. Like they found out how to kill, stones, kidney stones or whatever with, or gallstones or something with sound. How to destroy them so that they don't have to operate. That's great. Okay, so they've gotten that far. But what about all of the other things they could be using that with? There isn't any reason that we have to be sick at all. If you know how to find a resonance that's going to destroy something, like cancer, for instance. If you find the resonance of the cancer and you play the opposite, you're going to destroy it. Well, since they have not been doing this mechanically, people are going back to thousands of years old practices where people knew how to do this organically by chanting, singing, directing their flow of energy, which is called ki or chi, and doing it that way, altering the vibration that way. And there is actually a recording of 3 monks chanting away a woman's tumor. And you can see it's they have taken an ultrasound and have had it running while the chanting was happening. And you can see in real time this woman's tumor dispersing, just falling apart and disappearing. Okay, so we know this works. Why are we using it? Now, some people say this is what the medbed technology is going to look like. If you haven't heard about medbeds, it's something a lot of people consider still kind of woo-woo, but this is deep woo, so let's talk about it. The medbeds will be using light and sound instead of poison, radiation, and the stabby stuff, okay? So, yeah. And is it going to put some people out of business? Yeah, it is. Is that why it's not on the market? It could be. Although, we are starting to see, and I did run into, there is somebody with the technology, and it's not a med bed, but it is the light and sound technology. And she has made it available just recently in the last few years to the public. So I intended that somewhere near me that this is one of these is going to open up, and it did. There is one now in Ohio. I haven't been there yet. Now the next thing I got to do is get a ride there. But yes, we did get one in Ohio. So they're already healing people, but it takes more than one session, and this is different from the med beds in that it's said that the med beds work a lot faster. It's a lot more concentrated, I guess, energy. But this is what we've got is you just sit in a room and you have the frequencies played, and you end up feeling a certain amount better. Usually things don't get obliterated right that very day, but they usually are helped. There's also another technology, it's called red light therapy, which is available now. And the red light therapy is exactly what it sounds like. You can get a kind of a bank of red light. You put it on the affected or shine it on the affected area for a certain amount of time, and the area gets better. Okay? And there are people that swear by that too. So it is coming in. But it's coming in very slowly. And you're going to have a lot of money to have it, because these things are not cheap. Okay? Just like you'd expect. Things are not cheap. What we need is to intend that they get cheaper. That's one of the things that I'm putting my intentions towards. So, here we go with Lionsgate. We're wondering when we're going to see this or that. We have to bring it into effect. We have to bring it into being with our intentions, with our own, we have to do our own frequency raising. Now, what you can do, since you don't have a med bed available to you, you can go to YouTube, right here on YouTube, and find frequency videos. There's several different kinds of frequency videos available to help you change the situation that you're in, okay, the frequency that you're in, to help you with whatever kind of problems you have, really. And I know I have used them, and they have helped me quite a bit. It's one of the reasons I don't feel like I'm in hell anymore, okay? I learned a lot, and I want to help you too. That's one of the reasons I even have this channel, is I don't want to keep it all to myself. There are too many gatekeepers in this world keeping things away from us. And is it out of greed? Probably. I mean, it's going to put some people out of business, right? So, right now, I'm going to tell you one of the best things you can do, and I will, if you subscribe to the channel, you can get onto our group tab, and on our group tab from time to time, I put some of the best frequency videos that I have found that have done something for me. And you can click on those. But once you start, going through the list, if you type in frequency videos for whatever it is you need help with, you will start accumulating things that the algorithms feed you, on your feed. You'll find that there's really quite a lot of choice. You don't have to limit yourself at all. There are videos for literally any kind of situation you may be experiencing now. And it's really interesting how far this has taken off. When I think of those early days when I was thinking, all right, somehow if I have to tell everybody I see, and online I would drop the idea, drop the idea, drop the idea, drop the idea that maybe somebody needs to look into this. It paid off. We finally got. Now, we have got a whole field of possibilities in that regard. So, and we even have an app that, we even have apps now that will generate frequencies. And I will try to put the links probably in a post on my community tab. So this is going to be wild when we finally get what they're calling the med beds. And they're saying the med beds are one of the things that are fixing to come out eventually, fairly soon. We hope that is the truth, that the med beds come out sooner than later. But of course, this is going to change our whole society when it happens. It's going to change our whole society. Probably, like everything else, it's going to be the rich people first that are able to benefit because they'll be able to afford it. Let's hope that somehow it comes out in some way that everybody gets a chance at this technology. We do have people who have infused various items with energy so that it's something like the medbed idea. And I actually have a set of sheets and pillowcases that have been infused with energy. And it's interesting because one of my friends she wasn't sure what to think of it, but she's noticed that when I use it, there is a difference. There does seem to be a difference in me. I am getting, by increments, better in a lot of ways than I was. I used to be really darn sick. I used to have pain constant. I don't anymore. But it's not just, healing is not just zip zam, you put your hands on somebody and you heal them. That's Reiki, by the way. The laying on of hands is actually the Reiki flow of energy. Reiki translates to God's love, by the way. But that used to actually be taught in schools and isn't now. Why? Kept people healthy, I guess. I don't know. It's like this weirdness with everything has to be bought and paid for. It's kind of gummed up everything. A lot of the things that people took for granted in the old days, they don't take it for granted anymore. Now, my dad was old enough. He remembered how to do it. So, he could do things like that. But he was quite old when they had me. He was a lot older than my mother. So, I'm like, okay. So he still knew how to do that. Not only that, but his people came from Denmark. And in a lot of these older places, from the old country, they knew how to do stuff. They had to know how to do stuff. So, there wasn't a 7-Eleven right around the corner. You had to know how to cook and make food and grow food. And, you had to know how to heal because there wasn't a doctor open 24/7. They didn't have, there are places where they still don't even have ambulances. So, you kind of had to know something to survive, right? So, we have to look back on how they did things back at that time and how they managed to survive it. Because there were people who lived to a ripe old age even back then. They try to make you think that everybody died in their 40s or something, or 20s or whatever, and that just isn't so. There are people who live to be quite old, okay? And so, not really. Although a heck of a lot of people did pass on because they didn't know this stuff. And also because, a lot of the people who knew this stuff were called witches and they were put to death. But that is another story for another day. Anyway, I think the reason I don't know why I'm bringing all this up this way. I never know why I'm doing this stuff. It's just what I'm guided to do and guided to talk about. And I'm just running on and on about this. I don't know why. Who needs to hear this? I don't know. Maybe you. Maybe you. And if you do, I hope you're enjoying this. And if you do enjoy it, please consider giving me a subscribe or a like or something like that. And if you have come in sometime during this rant, I can't see you. You're not showing up in my chat. Okay? So, I'm at 31 minutes. I'm about to stick a fork in it and say, this is Deocean for Deocean's Deep Woo. Keep your frequency high. We're going to talk more about Lionsgate the next time I come in and what I see for the month of August. But happy Lionsgate, and like I said, we'll talk more about it. Okay. And I'm going to say, yeah, since I can't see any of you all, if anybody's in here, I can't see anybody. It's just not showing me. Okay. Well, that's it. I might come back on and see if that's any better, because I know that there's always somebody in here watching the show. I have people who regularly come in. So, it's just not showing you. So, yeah. Okay. So I got a bunch of people in here, but I'm not seeing any of you chat. Funny old YouTube. That's YouTube for you. Okay. Deocean out. Truth is where you find it. Hope you always find some on my show. I'll be back in. I'll be back. I'll be back. Keep your vibe high.